Hello everyone and welcome to my podcast Hellman Talks. Today we're in a very special place. We're in a bakery in London and I'm with the founder, Lucía Larragoiti. And Lucía, she started her career as an architect and then from something that started as a hobby ended up being a full-time business that she opened with her sisters. And she created La Maritxu, a Basque cheesecake in London with 3 stores. So I'm very excited to hear about her story and her journey. So thank you. Well, Lucía, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for hosting us in your lovely little shop that you have.
Of course, of course.
So tell us briefly, like where you grew up and where you're from.
Yes, so I'm from Bilbao in the Basque Country in Spain. I grew up in Bilbao and then I studied architecture in Pamplona, which is very close and nearby. And I've been in London for 8 years now.
And so, because now you're in the food industry, we have
Yes.
some examples of your cheesecakes here, which we'll talk more about later. But what did food mean to you and your family when you were growing up?
So it's a very important thing for us, the food culture and the quality especially. And it's something that we've always lived with, like going to restaurants and knowing the quality of the meat, of the fish, and the very little manipulation of the food. So like not plenty of sauces or of many things, but the quality mostly. So that's quite important for us.
Is it because your parents maybe are in the food industry?
No, they're not. I think it's something like for Basque people, I would say. It's like we like to eat very well, and we've always been quite worried about eating well, and I think it's more that my family in particular, nobody is in the hospitality business.
I mean, I have to say the Basque Country has very good food.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I think they're known, like in the north of Spain, that's very
Yes,
good,
yeah.
very good food. And then you said that you ended up coming to London. So like, what brought you here?
Yes, so I was studying architecture, and in 3rd year of university, I had the chance to come for internships in a studio, and so I came. And then after finishing the career completely after 6 years, I came back to the same practice and started working as an architect right after I finished university here in London.
And so because you were working as an architect, which is very different to what you're doing now.
Yes.
So how was that life?
It was amazing. Like I really liked working as an architect. To be fair, like I learned a lot. I felt myself very naive at the beginning. I guess it's something very normal for anyone starting a job. I do remember being quite insecure in terms of like going into meetings until I think a couple of years that I was confident enough to start understanding how everything worked out. But I really enjoyed construction in particular. Like if I have to say that if architecture is divided into like more artistic and more technical, I like more the technical side, so the construction.
And how did you do? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of people that feel identified with, like at the beginning when you're starting out, you're a little bit insecure, like you're a little bit unsure. How was that? Like, did it like go through with time?
It goes through with time. As well, I think having a good team helps a lot. I remember my team, like I was very scared to write an email. And I remember sitting down with one person and having a lot of patience and to explain me like, look, this and this and that, and don't say this, don't say that, and pick up the phone and call them. Yeah. And I was like, pick up the phone and call them? No, I'd rather send an email. No, pick up the phone and call them. And having that person in the team where it pushes you to do like the next step, and then after a few calls, then you're confident and you feel like, it's much better, I call, like it's gonna be more straight away. I say having a good team makes a really big difference, and then with the time you can say like you grow a little by little.
But it's so good when you have someone pushing you, because at the beginning you're like so scared to pick up the phone, like salespeople, for example, when they're starting out, like cold calling and all that. So it's but it's a good training, which
definitely.
Is good. And then with time, like you end up being better, which is good.
Yes.
And then so while you were being an architect, you were at the same time starting your own business. Can you tell us how that came about and like why cheesecake?
Why cheesecake? Yes, of course. So basically, the story begins when there is a big boom of Basque cheesecakes around, and I can see many people telling me like, oh, you're from the Basque Country, I love the Basque cheesecake. And I was thinking, oh, I didn't even know the Basque cheesecake was something. So we had cheesecake at home, but I didn't know it was a thing. And then my sister Maria, she lives in Ecuador, she's the oldest. We are three sisters.
Yeah.
And the oldest one, she lives in Ecuador and she started baking the cheesecake as well. She's a lawyer and she started baking the cheesecakes for friends. And then someone said, actually, I'm having family and friends gathering. Can I buy you one or two or three? And she started selling little by little. So she set up
back in Ecuador?
In Ecuador, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And she set up an Instagram page, basically. And then she started selling, like just taking orders via WhatsApp or via Instagram and baking them for orders. And then, so back then, at that same time, back then was my boyfriend, now is my husband, Ignacio. We were talking about he's a key part of this because without him nothing would have happened. But he's a businessman. Yeah. Since he was 2 years old, he's always been trying to sell the candy, to sell the DVDs that he copied, to sell sneakers in university. So he's always wanting to sell. So he actually told me, why don't we do like your sister, and we can start selling the Basque cheesecake here. So I talked with my sister and she said, go for it. Actually, if you want to put the same name, and we're like, actually, yes.
So she's also called La Maritxu?
Yeah. Okay. She's the original La Maritxu. And then we just put La Maritxu London.
Okay.
And so I was living with my younger sister, Almudena. Yeah. And we started La Maritxu London selling cakes from home, see what happens, without any vision of saying...
So you were cooking like at home and then taking over WhatsApp?
Yes.
Wow.
So I set up a website and there was this system that you could say, I want to put my products only available for pre-order. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was going to the office every day, but if any order came, the cutoff time was 1 day before. So I had the time to bake it that afternoon. And then the next day...
So you were actually baking the cakes at the beginning? Are you still today?
No, not today, no. But for the first 2 years, yes. And I received the health and safety inspection at home. Mm-hmm. Basically, when you bake from home or sell anything from home, you need to call the council and say, I have a business at home, and see if you can come over, and they come over to do the rating. Mm-hmm. So basically they see if you have a clean kitchen, etc. And in our case was very straightforward. They gave us a 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. And then we were ready to start selling. Wow.
And how were you balancing that? Because it's not like you were doing this just on your free time. You were doing this while you're having like a full-time job.
Yes. So it was challenging. I mean, at the beginning, to be fair, we didn't have that many orders. So if I happened to have one order, it was like I have one order this afternoon. I cannot stay for anything. Like I need to go bake. And then the following day I needed to, so the customer came to the apartment. I was living in Earls Court and I was handing them the cake at that time. So I was a bit worried. But then eventually when a year later, then I was having plenty of orders. So what I did is I reduced the time in the office. So I only worked Tuesday to Thursday.
And that was fine, like with the...
It was fine for them because back then, I don't know how it is now, there was a lack of architects in the industry or something, and they're like, we are happy for you to make it shorter as long as you stay with this project, because it was hard to find someone else. So I was very happy. Mm-hmm. And basically on Friday, so I was going to food markets on the weekends, mm-hmm. and on Fridays preparing the cakes for the markets, and on Mondays cleaning all the cake tins, because some days we sold 60 cakes in a market. Mm-hmm. So that means that it's like, wow, it's amazing news, we sold 60 cakes, but then it's like, we need to clean the cake tin. Like I didn't have a dishwasher or anything, so it's like one by one and do it.
And because then, so you were doing this like first a living like part-time on your free time, but then you decided to go full on. Yes. And then you decided to like invest all your time. So how was that?
So the good thing is like I didn't feel it was a completely risk or something very adventurous, because for 2 years I had been combining architecture with selling the cakes. So the good thing is that I had the numbers of sales that I had done whilst I was combining. So I knew what we were selling, meaning that when we did the business plan for this business, like opening a store, we weren't saying like, okay, let's see if it's like, okay, we sell this without a shop, most likely we'll sell just a bit more with a shop. So all the numbers matched up quite well. And when I found the location, I was like, I think it's the time, because that time I couldn't deal with baking the cakes, going to the markets on the weekends, and refurbishing this shop.
Yeah.
And then I was working with the telephone calls, and one day I tell to Ignacio, my husband, I think I'm just gonna quit because it's too many things. Yeah, just quit.
Yeah. Was it like very stressful back then, or like were you like handling well, because it's a lot on your plate?
It's a lot because at the beginning it was kind of a game or a nice plan to do with
Like a little hobby or yeah.
hobby. I used to go with my sister, and it was kind of nice. But but when we decided to open, it's stressful because then you actually invest. And we did a friends and family investment round.
Yeah.
And that is when you're kind of stressed, because obviously you are taking money from someone else, and deciding to say, okay, look, I'm gonna try to grow it. And then you have the pressure, is it gonna go well? Is it gonna go, like, did I take into account all the licenses from the council? Maybe yes, maybe no.
And how difficult is it to actually open, like, find a store? Like, I know the investment part is like a big part, but like find a store, a location that works, and then how is that part?
It's difficult. Now I know that it's more difficult than back then. What we just did is the first store that we found was this one, because all of them are.
So we're on the original one?
Yeah, we're on the original. We used to bake here.
Okay.
So the good thing about this site is that it has a basement. So we found pretty nice. Like, we could bake here and we can sell upstairs. So it was quite easy, but it's difficult to, well, I learned it on the go. The good thing is that because I'm an architect, I kind of knew that the refurbishment, the plumbing, the fire alarm, all these kind of things, I was comfortable with the contractors and the builders. And it was actually kind of funny that they said, like, you are the business owner, but no, but I am also an architect, so please, I want this and that. And
so your architecture career helped you a little bit at the beginning?
Definitely. And it still helps me, because architecture is such a wide, so before joining architecture, the career, I learned that architects know a little bit of many things, whilst engineers know a lot about something. Yeah. So I know a bit about the law and the regulation. I know a little bit about the accounts and everything. So I think, architecture helped me and helps me a lot nowadays.
I feel like it happens that a lot of people study architecture, but then they don't end up being an architect like for life, like they are maybe at the beginning.
Yes.
I don't know if there's like a trend there, but it's good that there's a lot of things that you learn from it that you can then apply later.
Yes.
And so you started from like online and going to food markets, but then you opened your first store, which we're on now.
Yes.
How was that? Because it must be like an amazing feeling.
Amazing feeling, stressful as well, and also quite frightening, because obviously you take into account many things like decoration, the menu, how are we going to bake the cakes, how are we going to show them to the customer, the packaging, like all these kind of things. But actually, when you literally open the door, nobody walks in. I mean, it's the reality. Like,
so can you tell us, like, the first day that you opened, how was it?
It was quiet. It was quiet, and the neighbor in front of us, I know him now, and he's a bit more pessimistic in those terms. And I remember he walking in and said, like, why did you come to this area, this street? And I said, well, we found the place. And he said, like, nobody walks in here. It's very quiet.
It's a beautiful street, though.
It's a beautiful street, but apparently he said, like, it's having a little crisis, and there is many businesses leaving, and that hit me, like, what are we doing here? I don't know. But we were very lucky, because 1 month later, obviously I was stressed look, we need to sell more. Even though we go to markets and we sell online, we need to get people coming in. And with influencers, I think it was the key. Yeah. So there was this app that told us, look, for the first month it's free, but you can offer a cheesecake and a coffee for free. An influencer can come in exchange. They will publish, and they have so many followers, etc. So at the beginning I said, let's try. Yeah. We don't lose just a slice and a coffee. And eventually, like the 5th or the 6th influencer that came, that video hit 5 million views.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
And then we started having queues, 40 people around. And we were baking back then 25 cakes per day. In 3 months. So that period of those 3 months, we scaled from 25 cakes per day to 150 cakes per day.
Wow.
It was an enormous peak of...
And how do you handle that? Because like
terrible.
also, I don't know if maybe the team is ready
No,
or
no.
like you have
What
enough
team?
material. Like how do you go from that?
No, it was, I remember it as an amazing moment, but also like a very stressful, so basically my husband was working, he's a data analyst, he was working at his job. It was just me and my sister, my younger sister Almu, and we had one person hired, the chef, and he told us, look, Lucia, I think because I totally understand this, baking cakes can be a bit boring because at the end of the day it's one recipe, there's no creativity. I mean, right now we do new flavors, no? But back then it's just repetitive. We just need to do 100 cakes, that's it. And he told me, I need to take some time to think if this is what I want. And we were having queues here before we opened. People was waiting in here. Wow. So I had to hire people like crazy. I didn't know how to handle, how to hire, how to lead a team, not at all. So at the beginning it was like, actually you are doing me a favor, thank you so much. If you can make the coffee today, and it didn't matter if they arrived late or if they left early. I was just so thankful they're coming to help me. Obviously it was paid. So it was a job, but in my mind it was like, thank you for helping me out to get over this. It was great, but very stressful.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine, but that's so interesting. But so you said, so you went from 25 a day to like 100 something. How many are you doing a day now?
Right now, 400 per day.
400 a day, wow.
Yes.
And is it always like this one, the one that we have here? Or?
These are the new sizes, but we've always baked an 8-inch, which is quite like the large one, serves 8. And those are the ones that we slice in the shop for having like a slice and a coffee. And then we also bake the large ones for like parties for 10 people. These are the new options that they work quite well for people that want to perhaps share it like for 2 people.
And for people that, because I know a lot of people are familiar with like the New York cheesecake.
Oh, yes.
But I would love to hear like what makes this cheesecake different, like the Basque cheesecake.
Yes, so the Basque cheesecake normally doesn't have the base, the biscuit base, and it's also baked in the oven at high temperature. So what makes it different is that whilst it's baked, it's a bit burnt on the top, and also it's quite creamy and soft in the inside, whereas the New York cheesecake is quite solid and it's like more Philadelphia, it's like and it's usually paired with some raspberry or some fruits. This one is meant to be eaten as itself, and the main characteristic is that it's very creamy and soft.
And do you have like one flavor, or because I think I saw on Instagram something you have manchego?
We have manchego right now. So for the first 2 years when we opened the shop, or 1 year and a half, we only had the classic, and it was a boom to say customers came in and said, do you only have one cheesecake? And we said, super easy to choose, like just one cheesecake, and then you can see if you want any coffee or drink. But now we are doing more flavors, so we have the tiramisu, and then we are doing now a manchego collaboration with García Vaquero in Spain.
No way!
Yes.
Wow, I love that cheese.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yes, and so we are seeing like what other flavors we do, like a special, like for seasonal more than staying in the. So I think the classic will always stay, and then we will have some others like coming and going.
That's nice. So you started your business with your sisters?
Yes.
How is it to have a business with like your family?
Yes. Well, it was never. It's a bit of misleading can be, no? It's true that we all started together, but it was quite independent. So basically, we share common things that to my older sister happens. Well, you bake the cake, you do this and you do that, but the reality is like as if we were independent. So even though my younger sister, she was with me, it's not that she wanted to do the business. It's like, I come with you, I do it. So it was like, the 3 of us, we are doing it, but we are doing it kind of independent. We are not part of the same business.
Okay.
Say like,
So your old sister Maria, she's doing it in Ecuador.
Exactly.
You're doing it here in London,
Here.
and your young sister.
And younger sister, she started at the beginning,
Yeah.
but now she's in Spain and she's not doing anything with the cakes right now.
And so, do you have like any tips for other like family owners or like people that are doing businesses? Even though right now you're doing a little bit independent, but
Yes,
at the beginning
yes.
it was maybe all in one.
Yes. Well, keep a good communication. I
Yeah.
think is great. I mean, to have things in common with your family and share it. But obviously, like when it's part of the day-to-day and it's a job and a business, we have to make it super clear, everything, no? Like crystal clear, all the communication has to be really good.
Communication is key
in everything. For everything.
In work, and with personal, with friends,
sí.
everything. It's so good. And so you grew from, like, you started online, then you built this store, and now you have 3 stores in London. How did that growth happen?
Well, when this shop was doing very, very well, we had the opportunity to expand and we found one location in Soho. And with that location, we decided to, okay, let's go with it. Let's see if we can have the capacity here with this production downstairs to open a second shop. For me, it was a complete, like, I was quite scared to say, what? If already one shop, I'm already like trying to control everything. I don't imagine like having 2 shops is gonna be impossible. But then is when you learn to say like things will just at some point will work around, and I cannot be on top of everything. And
also because like initially, because the numbers were doing so well, because you were getting people that were asking you like, oh, are you in Soho also? Or like, how did that?
No, it was very natural. It wasn't thought from the beginning. So plenty of things before doing the business were not thought. And I think that's the beauty, because I find now a lot of entrepreneurs or people that tell me, no, before launching, I need to have everything ready. No, I don't have the name, the stickers, the everything. No? So sometimes those things can stop you from actually selling your product. If you wait until you have absolutely everything, you don't sell ever, because so there is plenty of things that have been on the go.
I think that's very interesting, because I was reading the biography of Bloomberg, which is like my Bloomberg from the US. And there was something that he said that while the competitors are maybe trying to have everything figured out, and they don't start until everything is figured out, they have already advanced a lot, because they started, even though they had like a little bit of like a mock-up or things, it weren't like set in stone. And that's what made them like advance much more compared to others. So I like that perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you had mentioned entrepreneurship. I know that a lot of people like romanticize entrepreneurship, but how do you actually see entrepreneurship?
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard and beautiful at the same time, but there is plenty of things that are out of your control, and you don't know how to do them. And so the great thing is that if you are a real entrepreneur, you find out the way, and you continue regardless of anything. So things are going well on the right direction, regardless of being tired, of things not going as good as you expect, or different way. So, for instance, like I see that as well. If I've learned that if something that you have in mind is what you want and it's not going as well, but you find something else as well that can work, you have to be open to do it. Because I remember that first month where we're not selling that well here, my husband said, why don't we do grilled sandwiches? And I said, no, this is a Basque Cheesecake shop. Like, we have to be pure to our idea. And the reality is, like he said, it's beautiful, but we need to pay the rent, we need to pay the chef, and we need to be profitable. And then I realized that it's true. Like, you have an idea, and you have a very romantic idea, but practically, once you are there, if something else is more practical and it's actually profitable and worth it, then I think we have to be open-minded. So we actually bought the grill. But right when it arrived, it was those same days when the queue started, so we never used it.
Oh, really? Nice. But it's good, because it's important like that. So you have to sometimes like adapt to when things are coming.
Exactly.
And it's true that maybe you wanted to do things in one way, but maybe you have to see like how you do things. So it's totally understandable. And something that I'm also curious is, because it's not the same thing to do like 1 cake versus 100 cakes.
Yes.
How do you scale and like make sure that like the pure initial cake that you started?
It's very difficult. We found that exactly like baking 5-6 cakes at home was not the same as baking in here, starting to bake 30, 40, 50.
Because maybe you do like your special touch at home, or I don't know.
Not really. There's not big secrets to the recipe or anything. I mean, we've learned a lot of things now, and we know plenty of things that we didn't know. But it's true that scaling is not easy, and baking one cake is easy, and we happen to have like different cakes, we still have like inconsistency because obviously it's a handcrafted product, and I always say it's the beauty as well, no? Like if you want something from the factory that is everything is the same, well, you can go to any place that will be, and this is something that we bake daily. And obviously and then the oven is obviously like a deck oven, like a pizza oven. So the hot points are spreaded, but obviously like we put plenty of cakes inside, and we move them around so that they are. But it's not like a factory oven that will be perfect. So we found that perhaps some customers did complain about, well, the cheesecake I had the other day was more burnt, and this one is a bit more white, and yes. So that's from baking 1 to baking 400, you have that. But I think we're getting much better now.
But I think it's the beauty of it. It's like with people that are like, I don't know, sewing clothes or doing like handmade clothes. It's the beauty of it. There was something that I thought that was also interesting, because you were saying like talking about entrepreneurship and scaling.
Yes.
Do you have like any tips for like someone else that is maybe an entrepreneur and trying to scale their business?
I would say keep it simple, as simple as possible. For us, having one product has been the key of everything, because you can focus on one product and make it, and scaling or any problem is around one product. But perhaps if you try to do a lot of things at the same time, it's going to be very complicated. I say to keep it everything as simple as possible. The menu, simple. The team rules, simple. How do we do things? Simple.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Sometimes it's better to do like one thing very well than trying to do like 15 things at the same time. And so now you have 3 stores.
Yes.
Like if you think about the future of Maritxu and you, like, how do you see it? Like, would you like to open stores outside of the UK? Like, what's your goal?
I think I would like to expand in the UK rather than going outside. At some point, perhaps going outside London or outside the UK would be amazing, maybe to Paris. But I think for the next 5 years, we have plenty in here. I would love to open one in Bath, one in Scotland. But the reality is that we found something else as well this year, that it might be like a second branch, which it would be the B2B or the wholesale.
Oh, nice.
And we are doing it on the side, because the current kitchen has a capacity of 2,000 cakes per day, meaning that we are not like using it completely. So we are only it's not only, but we're doing 400 cakes per day, but we have much more capacity. So we are trying to explore that area, and I find that opening a shop is beautiful, but you need always like to invest on the construction, fit out, licenses, the team. And then having a team is hard, because obviously it's with people, and then everyone has his own problems. So I find that if we can bake the same amount of cakes that we were going to do for a shop, you can bake them for wholesale. Happy days. We bake them, we issue them, and then someone else can have those kind of problems when you sell. Yeah. With the customer, with the fit out, with absolutely everything. No? So I kind of this year I would like to explore that wholesale area, and then my husband is looking more to open more shops. So nice. We'll grow on those directions.
Amazing. So it'll be interesting to see where La Maritxu is in a couple of years.
Exactly.
Nice. Well, to finalize, now we have what I call the rapid questions, or like my mom calls the ping pong questions. So I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions, and you answer the first thing that comes to mind. Vale. The first thing, I love how you're like, vale, in Spanish. So what's something that made you smile this week?
This week?
Yeah.
well, finding yesterday, walking into one of our stores and finding one person that I hadn't seen in years, and she was having a cake, and I mean, I knew that person, and she was there, and I was very happy. That made me smile.
Nice, very good. What's a new skill that you would like to learn?
Perhaps to be more organized. I'm always looking to be more organized. I don't know if I am, but I was like, I wish I could have everything, like all the emails filed, all like I used to be on the architectural, no, everything. But right now, because nobody is like looking at my desktop is
it's a little different. What's one word that describes you?
Optimistic.
Yeah.
I think I'm very optimistic.
That's a nice word. And it's good for business, not like the pessimistic neighbor that you had when you open your store. What's a dessert, if we exclude cheesecake, that you like?
Chocolate. I love chocolate.
Yeah. And what's the best advice someone has ever given you?
The best advice, the last time they asked me is, I think it was a great one. So we've got our offices in Bethnal Green, and the offices are just 4 walls, there's no decoration at all. And I apologized to one of our friends who's also an investor from that back then when we did the round, and I said, I'm sorry, because we literally like don't have any painting or anything, no, or any plant. And he said, the moment you start worrying about the decoration of the office is the moment where I worry about the business.
Oh, really?
And I said, it's true. Like, I mean, he's like, just focus on what is really important, which is the business and the decoration. Like, don't worry about it. It's true.
I have to say, I like that because, I mean, someone could be like, yes, you're not worrying about us, or like, you're not making sure that we're in a good space, but it's nice that they're like focused on what you have to focus on, and then the rest will just come.
Yeah.
That's very good. Well, it's been super nice speaking to you. I think that you have an amazing story, and I wish the best to La Maritxu.
Thank you so much.
I think these cheesecakes are great, and I wish them a lot of success. So it was very nice to have you, and thank you for hosting us in your coffee shop.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very good.
Oye, muy bien, ¿no?